Welcome, Dr. Nithila Priyanthi. Congratulations on behalf of UPSC MEDICO. Yes, All India rank 143. Any day you have to take it because getting into the list and uh, definitely you're going to get ASR, IFS are your service of your priority. So I want to know your current status, how you're feeling. Then you can start with a basic introduction of who is Nithila Priyanthi and the background.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much and greetings from me. Sir, actually, I never expected the rank of 143, and of course, I'm happy about it. And regarding my background, I completed my MBBS from Government Tirunelveli Medical College at Tamil Nadu. And this is my second attempt and first interview, sir. It was the first interview I gave. And also, I started my preparation very late. It was only during the latter part of my internship I actually started it. And then after that, the first year, I was so much focused on solving the PYQs related stuff. And only then after I was unable to clear the first prelims by a narrow margin of 0.7 marks. So I gave the second attempt and now I was able to get a score of rank of 143.
Yes. How difficult it was to do UPSC preparation during your internship phase being a doctor?
Yes. So actually, it was the COVID period when I was doing my internship. So it was pretty much hectic because all the PHCs, CHCs, everything was shut down. So only the doors of the GH were open to everyone. So it was pretty much hectic. And that's why I could not devote so much of my time into this preparation. So I just did the minimal groundwork, like searching what kind of questions would be asked when it comes to medical science, or is really medical science something that we can go for as an optional, as well as certain minimal things about the general studies also. So this was what I actually done during my internship period. So
More
the
of
real
strategizing and research about UPSC rather than
exactly, sir.
starting your full-fledged preparation. Yeah.
Exactly, sir. Just to know my level, where I stand, and whether it is possible or not at this period. That was what I experimented about during the internships.
Yes. And you are planning to give it immediately after internship, or how many attempts were in your mind? Like, what was your plan B after this? If it was not UPSC, what was your plan B?
Yes. So actually, when I started the preparation, I was of the opinion that I should be able to do it within the second or the third attempt. Maximum third attempt was my target, in fact. So that in case if I'm not able to make it, then I was planning to take central or state medical services and then simultaneously prepare for the UPSC again. That was my strategy, sir.
Okay. So NEET PG was never in your vicinity?
Yes, as of now, I did not think about it because I thought, okay, first let us work towards this goal. And in case maybe in the long run, I'll
Yeah.
be thinking about it. That's it.
Yeah.
But for the time being, it wasn't.
Yeah, see, I'm not fond of this question, but every time when I see a topper, the question will pop up. The reason being, many of the students, medical science students, they feel alienated, and suddenly when they are in this journey, many of their colleagues and friends, they will be joining good branches in reputed hospitals as PGs, right? So it always daunts them, like to keep away from that distraction and to work hard to achieve your goal is becoming tough, and many of them they resort to me, sir, how to handle this alienation and how to not get distracted from NEET PG, because that is altogether a different ball game, right? When you get into that NEET PG zone again, to come back and crack UPSC, it might take more than two attempts then. So what were you doing? Have you faced this issue? And if you want to tell any junior like how to tackle this alienation, so what is your solution to them?
So actually, it is in fact the toughest decision that we are supposed to make in life, I suppose, because after having spent 5.5 years with medicine, but then because of some flair, we just get into this. So, but then it's often something runs at the back of our mind that what if we are quarantined from the rest of the other batchmates? These kind of thoughts always pop up. And in my case, the strategy that I used was never to give NEET exam. That was my idea because I was very. Suppose if I was able to make it, then again I should be messing up. I'll be messing it up. That was the thing I had in mind. But definitely, I'll not advise this to other aspirants.
Yeah.
But again, what makes us to move ahead is actually the little improvements we make day by day, sir. Though we, for example, just attempting a good score, a decent score in some prelims test or a mains test. So these little things will definitely keep us motivated throughout the journey. And I think that can help us to battle this sensation that we generally have.
Yes, yes. So what was that little flair which diverted you from the medical stuff to start your UPSC preparation journey?
So as I told earlier, this idea came to me very lately, particularly the final year and the internship was the driving factor, I would say. So I understood how crucial administration was, and I want to be at that place where there is a convergence between the two, between the fields of administration and health. That was the first thing. So, and secondly, the years of working with the Department of Community Medicine, where I was engaged in this field work, vaccination drives, and awareness campaigns. These kind also made me realize that maybe I need something more, something different, and that is how I actually opted for civil services.
So it's a gradual change. It's not a sudden
Exactly.
decision one day, right? So it was
Yes, sir.
always lingering in your mind throughout the medicine.
Internship
Yeah,
period.
it manifested in
Yes.
the internship is good.
Yes, sir.
Because I think they lost the same question in the PT too, because this is a most common question asked to a doctor because you're already in a respectable, noble profession. Like, what is the reason for the switch? And many of the aspirants who prepare for interview guidance with me, they work a lot on this because being honest and knowing that flair actually would fetch you more marks in the personality test. That is what I believe. That's why I keep popping up this question to all the toppers, like
True,
what is the
that's
flair and what is the switch, because that should guide you through the process. It's a marathon. It's not a, like, we have started our journey in probably in close to end of the 2021, I would say. So uh, like for the next 2 to 2.5 years you are preparing, and this exam runs in a cycle of 2 years, and people will think that we are wasting 2 years. No, actually the results will come uh, like 18 to 24 months is the time. You should be ready for your next prelims. I think you're already ready for the next prelims. You're lucky that there's a gap of 40 45 days because of the election delay.
yes,
Yeah, it's a marathon, and that flair should always be there to guide you. And as you said, it's very important to constantly get motivated with the little results what we get on a daily basis. I think that will
exactly.
definitely push you, and distractions and avoidance is the best way to do. Yeah, it's good.
Exactly.
And yes, we're done with the basic introductory part and all. What about the support system? Because you need support from the family and friends for this journey, right? So just talk about that.
Yes, sir. Yes. So actually, I would say that the family members were very supportive. In fact, my both my mom as well as dad, they would often encourage me to pursue what I really wanted, and they put whether choosing PG or entering into civil service was actually a never a greater question when in within the family.
Mm.
And when it came to friends, I was fortunate enough to have a bunch of friends who would also motivate me every now and then, but actually they're all in different areas of PG. They're doing their PG, and they were very helpful in the sense whenever I need some notes or whatever inputs I needed for my preparation, it was always taken from them. So I found it to be very helpful in that manner, sir. So, and also whenever there is some ups and downs, we always need a peer group to support us, to steer us through that journey. So that part was actually played by my friends throughout this
Yeah.
course.
Because your major preparation, the initial part of the preparation is during the COVID phase, right? You were locked in a single room, right? How are you coping up with that, and how important it is for doctors to move out of the study room and be with the peer group who are parallelly preparing for UPSC? The problem here is, in our country, in India, there are around 550 medical colleges, and hardly there is one student coming from each medical college who is actually preparing for this exam. So many of the students, we have this study partner program wherein we connect students so that they do at least an online preparation together. So, do you have a like-minded friend with a UPSC background who was pushing you forward, and how important it is for UPSC preparation?
Yes. So it's very true that it's very rare to find medicos who are preparing for civil services from each and every medical college. But I would say my case was a little bit different because I had a single member from almost every batch from one of my batchmate as well as one of my senior, junior, everyone, they were all preparing. So it was kind of a group of five within which there was an echo chamber. That's why we were able to discuss the civil service related stuff. So that really was very supportive. And of course, as you mentioned, these platform, for example, UPSC MEDICO itself, we generally have the WhatsApp group wherein we can get in touch with the medicos. So these social networks are also important, sir. So I feel it's like they'll be pushing each other so that we can maximize our own potential. So that is very important part of this.
Yes. So for a doctor who is starting his preparation, there is an optional dilemma, and as you said, you even had the similar issue because I think if you are surrounded by more peers from MBBS, I think there will be an elaborative discussion on which optional to choose, and there is always a little bit of dilemma about it. And what is the driving force for you to choose medical science as an optional, and how did you tackle this dilemma, and what advice you want to give to the future aspirants about how to tackle the optional dilemma? Because people are wasting a lot of time there. I could sense that with my 4 years of experience of guiding a lot of students. Just before the exam also they have this dilemma, like is it the right choice or not, and what were the measures which you have taken through the learning phase?
So I feel like the choosing of optionals is actually very crucial. And of course, too many months should not be wasted for the same. That is also equally important. So the factors that I considered before taking medical science as optionals were, I could say, two or three factors were there. So firstly, I was not ready to forget medicine completely, sir, in case, because as you said, there is always a plan B where I would need to go back to medical services, central or state, or maybe PG years later. So in that case, I always had this fear I should not forget everything. That was a major part. And the second, I would say, so I was not I wouldn't say like I'm not a topper when it came to MBBS. So I was an average kind of person. But when I compared the syllabus that we study in MBBS and that what is there in UPSC syllabus, actually, it's a very tiny part of the original syllabus is included here. So I think that can be covered with utmost dedication. So that is always possible. And the third option is that, like I was not ready to take a subject which is completely new. I always had this fear because I had planned to give only one or two or three attempts at the maths. So I was not very sure whether I'll be able to master a completely new subject. Suppose maybe if there is a question or a concept that pops out of nowhere, then I'd be an alien for that. But in case of medical science, even if there are three or four questions, if it comes from peripheral areas, definitely we'll be able to attempt it because of the 5.5 years experience that we had, both in theory as well as practical. So that is one of the factors that I considered, sir. And of course, the last is always the interest that does play a role.
Hmm.
So I was also having an interest towards it, so I naturally went for it.
Yes, very well answered. Because uh, this is very important because if someone else is watching this, any future aspirant, maybe 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years later also, they optional dilemma is a common thing, not only for medical science optional student, for any student who is starting his UPSC journey. The first thing that pops up in mind is which optional to choose. And the problem with the human brain is we only blame that which we can change. Like nothing else you can change in UPSC. You have to study the same GS subjects. You have to kind of go through the same CSAT, same current affair related thing. The only thing which is in your hands, which creates a dilemma, is an optional. So yeah, that's what I started saying. Better to deal with the devil, And statistics say 9 out of 10 times it is doctor with medical science who is coming out with a good result. You may not be getting too good marks because you also need to believe that it's a specialty subject, it's not a general subject. So you have to be so proficient in this subject to score so high, and when you become so proficient you will become a doctor, not an administrator, because smart work is very important. So we can put it this way: though it's a specialty subject, you have to deal it within a generalistic way with an optimistic mindset. Definitely if you score around 270 to 287, I think you can be in the list. And if you perform well on an average or above average basis in all the aspects of UPSC, you will definitely be a civil servant. I think it goes without saying. And
Mm.
because not only medical science students, I think most of the general study students might also be watching this. I think many might have got bored with the medical science related discussion. So let's do a little bit of preparation strategy and what were the
Yes.
resources you're using starting from the prelims, like the current affair part, then the CSAT, then GS 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll discuss about medical science and PT very in a very brisk fashion. Focus more mainly on the timeline, the strategy, and the resources.
Okay. Okay. So, when it comes to the timeline, like I had, as I told, this is my second attempt. So the strategy was a little bit different when it came to the first and the last attempt, which I gave. So during the first time, like I was taking the foundation classes, and I was too much devoted to the class notes only. Like I did not do a lot of homework, if I can put it in that way. So the efforts from my side was very, very limited, and that's the reason I was unable to complete the syllabus itself, and that is why I was not able to perform as expected during the first attempt. But when it came to second attempt, I would say that I did the homework in a very proper manner, because I it's very important to cover the basic books which everyone suggests. For example, we refer the NCRTs when it comes to history, and the Lakshmikant for polity. All these are some basic books which everyone does. So suppose if there is a question which somehow pops up from that basic book, others will definitely be able to answer it. Then I'll be alienated in that manner. So it's crucial that we have to do it. And also, when it came to a test series, and both for prelims as well as mains, it is important not only to attempt it but also analyze it each and every test, because the number of tests that I gave for mains was actually lesser. I just gave 3 tests for each and every GS paper. So that is how I prepared. But the amount of time that I spent in analyzing was actually higher. Maybe that is why one of the I was able to get a decent score. So these two are something that I would like to add.
Yeah, in a gist, yes. And yeah, you can talk about the resources because if someone else, like from medical science fraternity, if he's starting, if he's this is the day one of his journey, so what resources he should have on the table for GS, GS2, what you have referred? Because yes, when they're starting the preparation, they'll definitely have a general mindset and idea that these are the NCRT books, these are the books, this is the literature that we should follow. But one important point that you were telling was whatever the coaching institutes or whatever the guides they give, on top of that, it's very important to make value additions. Even for medical science also, I tell this to a lot of students because uh, it's proven again out of 40 students who have attempted it, 38 are from UPSC MEDICO. So that means everyone else is following the notes which I give, the videos which I tell, the test series which I have conducted. If you want to differentiate from them, I think you should do little bit of value additions from here and there. But the problem here is uh, I want to contradict here because in a series of interviews I'll be talking to a lot of the toppers. There are some toppers with a mindset saying that stick to a single resource, memorize it and revise it multiple times. That is also a way of scoring it, because if you go on adding a lot of points, the value addition, there is never an end to it, and the sense of completion will never come. So have you faced this issue anytime? Like, were you happy adding a lot of value additions, or what is that end point or dead point wherein you think that this much is enough? Because this distinction is very important, because people have different opinions, different toppers have got different opinions. So, is there any buffering point for you that this much is enough? So, let me revise this. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I did face this difficulty, particularly after my first attempt. Once I am done with the prelims, I just recollected what are the sources I have been referring to, and I came to realize that it was scattered everywhere. There was no one-stop solution for a single subject. I had like 3 or 4 notes were there for each and every subject. So that was really, it was frustrating, in fact.
Yeah, that's
So the
this a
second,
FOMO, right? Hashtag FOMO, fear of missing out, and keep
exactly.
on adding a lot of points and all. Yeah.
Exactly, sir. That is really a blunder, I would say. Actually, it seems to be a tunnel with no end. That is how the more we read, the more we are tempted to read even more. So that is how it goes. But again, I would say that as the standard books have been mentioned, like for GS one, it is the NCRTs, and for geography again, it is NCRT. So and for art and culture, we have Nitin Sangania. So these are the basic books. Of course, we have to be thorough with the basic books. And in case if they are relying upon any material of any coaching institutes, they can of course master that. They can just do revision of that. And also, as you told, these value addition points. Generally, we hunt newspapers and certain maybe websites of certain ministries. We may hunt here and there for getting this value addition. But what I generally feel is everything, just at least be it prelims or be it mains, at least 3 months before each and everything, all our resources should be consolidated into one PDF. That is it. I generally do my revisions on a tab, so I just make separate folders for each and every subject, if I can put it. So if that is art and culture, all my notes will be there only in that PDF, so that during those 3 months, I'll not be going anywhere. I'll just stick on to it. Suppose if I'm taking a thematic test and I'm getting certain questions of art and culture or history wrong, then I'll just note it down. Again, I'll copy it and paste it in this very PDF so that I can come back and revise it again. So similar thing happened with mains also. In general, generally for mains, apart from the static part and the newspaper readings, we'll also be referring to the compilations. It could be of different institute. These mains compilations will generally be there, so that we'll ensure that we don't miss out certain very important topics that we always tend to do. Again, it is better to stick on to the resources of any one institute or one source, I would say. But again, these should also be assimilated and made into a single consolidated notes. So that will definitely help us in boosting our confidence. Just 1 month or 2 months before these exams, it will be very handy for us. So that is how it goes.
Yes, yes. So I think the similar concept is there in medicine too, right? We have 20 subjects and we
Yes,
need a 21st book to revise just before going for
exactly.
UPSC. I think
Exactly.
the similar scenario here. And
Yes,
it's very important that for UPSC we are never ready. So never
exactly, sir.
ever strive for sense of completion. And I tell my students about this. So first comes learning, second comes
Exactly.
revision, third comes practice. And if you want to be a good UPSC aspirant, practice should come first, next should come revise, then the last should be learning, because there is no end, there is no boundaries for this content, right? We are living in an era of data wherein the media is going everywhere, and whatever is happening is there in the papers. And it's not like 90s or 80s wherein they have little data wherein you can write this UPSC exam. The whole world is on the plate, and if you keep on probing, if you keep on learning new things, I think there is never an end to it. So one take home, if you want to take from this video with our discussion, is that yes, do some value additions, but there should be a boundary for that, and never try to learn any new stuff 2 to 3 or a couple of months before the exam, because just put an end card to it and keep revising the same stuff again and again. I think that will fetch you more marks than learning new things. And it's not a new thing that we're discovering. It applies to any competitive exam per se, right? So that's good. I want to ask two important questions here. One thing is, what was that difference from uh, attempt number one to attempt number two? I think you didn't clear prelims in the first attempt. I think this is your first mains and first. You did clear your prelims in the first attempt?
No, sir. No,
No.
no, sir, I did
Mhm.
not.
Yes. So, because failing prelims is pretty basic stuff for a doctor nowadays because of CSAT, which was introduced in 2013. So, you see, before that, there used to be 150 doctors who were writing mains. But now, because of the CSAT of IIT level mathematics, many doctors are struggling. And what were your thoughts on that? And what was that special preparation that a doctor needs to do to clear the first step? As I could see, the first step is the main hurdle, but many of the doctors, if they clear first step, for example, I got 40 students along with you, we were in a group, right? The target 2023 and interview guidance, among them 28 cleared it, and look at the success ratio. I think I need more and more doctors to get into that mainstream, but they just stopped at the level of the prelims and CSAT. So what guidance would you like to do, and what difference you brought in your preparation from attempt number one to attempt number two? Yeah.
Yes. So I would say that after the first attempt, actually it was very traumatizing for me. because it was just by 0.7 mark that I was unable to clear that. So after that, I became very cautious with each and every single. I came to realize that even a single mark does count. So that is something we have to be cautious. And of course, the CSAT, it's very challenging, I would say, for the doctors because we have not been exposed to maths for such a long time. So it would be advisable to start the preparation of CSAT a bit earlier. Maybe we have prelims by May or June. This is the month by which we have. So it will be prudent if they start the preparation of CSAT a bit earlier, even from the month of October or September. At least by weekends, they can strategize their plan. Like, for example, some familiar topics like from logical reasoning. These are some simpler topics. So they can just devote their weekends for solving these topics. So this has to take on I feel it has to take place on a regular basis right from the starting. So because what happened in my first attempt was, it was during the month of April and March, towards the end of April and March, the amount of time that I put for CSAT was relatively higher than that for GS. So that really terrorized me, I would say. So I don't want any other aspirant to face that. And that is why it will be very prudent if they started a bit earlier. And when it comes to the sources, what they can refer for CSAT, of course, there are so many YouTube videos and aptitude books are there, which they can, of course, compare it with the previous year question. They can do an analysis. And once they realize where they stand, probably by January or December, they'll come to know what is their level of understanding of CSAT. In that case, they can strategize the further 3 months. Suppose if they are scoring relatively less, then it means that so much of time has to be put even after the month of Jan, Feb, and so on. So I think this time the GS score is very low. So it is the cutoff was actually 75. And the main reason I personally feel is because of CSAT.
Yes.
Since the CSAT was tough, automatically the GS scores also went down. So it cannot be taken lightly any longer. So that is one thing. And the second, the change that I made from the first attempt to second attempt is what, like I told you just before, I was concentrating on CSAT so that just to ensure that I don't get nervous or I'm not scared of maths towards the end. That is something. And the second is the test series. Previous years, generally when it comes to PYQs, we tend to have a limiting factor. Maybe we'll just refer to 10 years questions or maybe 5 years question. So this is the general trend. But I think little more effort can be prudent. So for example, this time in GS of prelims, we had this assertion and reasoning type of question. It was found to be a new trend. But actually, this is the same pattern which was existing during the 2000s, 2001, 2. Those were the years when similar questions were asked. So had an aspirant covered the 20 years PYQs, then it would have been more helpful for them. So this is how these little changes would have been very helpful. And of course, the test series. You can just stick on to a single test series and revise it multiple times, analyze it multiple times so that we can be confident enough for the prelims. Overall, I would say that it's a game of average. So like we need not, it's no use if we try to score like a score of 120 plus every time. So that's never going to happen. So we should just stick on whether we are able to do it in an average and we're able to analyze it in a better manner.
So what I personally feel is in this ocean of UPSC exams, you have that island which is CSAT exam, which is not scoring, it's just a qualifying exam.
Exactly.
We are all running a race to get extra mark, but here the logic is completely different, wherein I think many of the students are failing. If you spend so much of time, I think it will, as in your case, it has affected your GS learning and also performance, right? And that's what is happening. I could see now. It's like a kind of summer vacation for me. Once January comes, nobody touches medical science optional. They just run after prelims and mainly CSAT. Now, the problem here is once they attempt prelims and once they know that their cutoff is above par, then they have no time left to revise GS or the medical sciences optional. I think you have to find a balance for that, and it is little bit difficult for doctors, but definitely doable. Don't get discouraged by this conversation. Actually, this conversation is very important to guide you in a doable way. That never ever underestimate the importance of CSAT exam. Though it is qualifying in nature, definitely there are many who are struggling to score that 33%. That's why even the overall GS cutoff has come down, and this trend is there for the last 3 years, and we can expect it to continue because uh, they're left with no choice. The board they have to filter out 10 lakh plus aspirants, right? And they have
Definitely.
only one band, that is CSAT. So I think as a doctor, we should also kind of sharpen our mathematical and logical abilities, which we have lost before entering MBBS itself. I think we have to kind of embrace them
I
again,
should.
work on them. This is very important point for any beginner who is starting his preparation. Do focus more on CSAT, but you have to know the limit again that it's an exam of qualifying in nature. Yes, very good. So we're done with most part of the resources and strategy. We'll enter into the medical science part. So how was the journey? Like,
Yes. So I have been associated with UPSC MEDICO since the start of my preparation, as you know very well. Like during the initial phase, I just applied, opted one of the plans which was given there in the UPSC MEDICO. So I found it to be essential because there are certain topics in uh, UPSC which we generally tend to neglect during our MBBS days. So in that case, it will be very useful if the notes as well as the lectures are made available for that. And that is why I began with that. So what I used to do is I just made topics for each and every, made notes for each and every topics of the medical science optionals, considering inputs from from mainly the previous year's questions. So I consolidated my notes. I prepared it from both the UPSC Medico's material and the basic books, what we refer in MBBS. So if I begin to learn a topic at fresh, I'll just ensure that I'm able to cover some points from all these books, from all these
yes,
sources.
yes,
And then I'll just compile it and put it in a single notes. That is it. And then for further revision, I'll just rely upon it. So this is how the journey went. So during the first year of my preparation, I was not able to cover it completely. This exercise, I was able to do it only for roughly 30 to 40% of the syllabus. That was what I was able to do it. But then after the second year, I just went ahead with the same. And I still remember, like, I was giving the prelims in 2023, and I was also a part of the daily answer writing program, which was happening during the months of January and February.
yes,
So I think that was helpful to stay in touch with the optionals, sir, because I generally feel this optionals is a very volatile kind of stuff. So in case it once I did not touch it for 6 months, and if I come back again, then I'll find it to be very strange. So that was why I ensured that I was able to attempt the questions which were asked on a daily basis. And in case if I do not, I'll just rely upon the notes. I'll just add it to the notes, whatever I have to put. So this is how it went. And once I'm done with the prelims, I undertook the test series, mains test series. I was able to attempt the thematic tests, and I think writing thematic tests when it comes to optionals is very important because one thematic test and almost 80 to 90 percentage of that subject would be done. So that is very crucial. And equally, the evaluation part also. It's crucial to revise it every time. Like what the inputs which have been suggested should also be taken into account, and it should be incorporated. And finally, it was very late. I think I still remember I gave only one full length test, which was towards the end of the month. It was around the month of September. Just before September, I was able to write it. But still, I was confident because I had given so many thematic tests. So it's important to strategize it ideally because during those 3 months between prelims and mains, we have to balance everything, both the general studies, ethics, essay, as well as the optionals. So it is crucial that we do it in a prudent manner and we do not stay left behind others. That is one thing. Yes. So I would say that medical science was indeed, it turned out to be a savior for me because both in optionals, I was able to get around 271. And in case of personality test also, most of the questions in my interview were also centered around medical science only. So it was proved to be double whammy actually. Even my interview, like I was literally shocked upon seeing the marks because my interview was almost 70% of it was centered around medicine only.
And I
Yes.
had seen one student getting 215. Is it in the range of top 10, the interview marks? Or
It was actually first score was 215, second
Mm,
is 212, and the
mm.
third is 210.
Okay, you're the third. So I think
Exactly.
there's one more interview in loop. Like you should guide the upcoming batch once they clear their
Sure,
mains, because
sure, sir.
210 is not a joke.
Yes.
That's a really tremendous achievement to score 210 in personality test. So how is your preparation went for personality test? How many mock tests did you take? And what were the medical science related questions? Yes.
Sure, sir, sure.
Yeah.
So actually, my interview was scheduled on January 12th. It was the first phase. So actually, I did not have very much time to prepare for the same.
Mm.
So it was done in a hurry because I had to prepare from all the sections, from DAF, from medical science, then from the plays, everything has to, current affairs, all these has to be prepared. So I could not prepare as I had planned, but still I was able to give around 6 to 7 mocks I was able to give. And out of those, I was 2 mock interviews. I had given them online, and the rest were in offline mode only. So the experience during the interview, I would say, was not very good, sir. In fact, I had so many sorries rather than answering the questions. That
Mhm.
was how it went. Even the very first question that was open to me, I made a blunder in that. So what I generally feel that is, if suppose we do not know a question, it is better to accept that. If we accept it honestly, and I think there will not be any further probing of the same. So that is one point that I realized. And the interview was in a very informal kind of manner, I would say. Like there were hardly 3 to 4 questions which were thrown at me by a single member. And the interesting part was I was not allowed to finish the questions,
Mhm.
just 1 or 2 points, and the next question was put. Like I
Yes.
was never given a chance to complete the answer.
Mm.
So once I came out of the interview, I felt that I had literally messed it up. That was the feeling that I had, and I was expecting a score which was somewhere less than 160 for sure. That was my assumption. But then it turned out to be the other case. But now I retrospectively, when I think about it, I feel that it's important to remain calm even if you do not know the answer. That is something which they are looking at, because as the name itself says, it is more of a personality test rather than interview. And as medicos, we generally have this assumption like we have to answer every question, as in case of a medical viva
Our
also.
Viva. Yes, yes, yes. Mm.
Yes, sir. So we generally have that prefix connotation, but I don't think in UPSC that is the case.
Yeah,
Even if we do not.
very good point. Because we are humans, right? It's not possible to know
Yes.
everything. And this is what I tell many of the students. Sorry for interfering, because this point
No
is very
issues, sir. Please
important
go
for
ahead.
our aspirants. See, we are not perfect. We don't. It's not humanly possible to know everything. Like for example, if you are a future district magistrate, uh, you will be given limited resources, right? You will not have 100% of the resources to do 100% work. I think here is the smartness comes. You have 40% of the resources in the district, and you have to cater it to the 60% of the people. That is where the smartness is. So the time allotment, the resource allotment may not be uh, given in sufficient quantities. Look, how you're going to work it out with that much of knowledge is more important. And that's what I tell during the interview guidance program also. Don't try to answer everything, and don't try to learn everything also. It's okay that, but basic things like the standard things. For a doctor, what is more important? For a civil servant, what are the basic things? I think you should definitely know that. Because if I extrapolate it to the medical side, medicine side viva thing, there was one of my student. I hope he'll not be watching this video, right? So he was my junior, and he made a blunder of improperly tying the BP cuff, and he was checking, instead of medial side, he was checking the lateral side with a stethoscope. And to the external, he did tell that the sir, the BP is 125 by 65. The odd number is not possible. And it's not a surprise. He is the only person in that batch who failed from by the most humble external. Only one person got failed. So you cannot do blunders per se, but if there is a rare thing or which you are unaware of, I think it's okay to say no for that. And this is a life lesson. Okay. Good
Exactly,
life
sir.
lesson. Please
Exactly.
continue. Yeah.
Exactly, sir. Now I have the opinion like they allow to choose candidates with imperfections. They just want to ensure that whether we are flexible enough to adapt to the changes. I think that is all they want. Because I had a disclaimer which was given by one of the panel members himself. They were asking a question about compulsory licensing. What was the very first drug which was allowed for compulsory licensing in India? Of course, I did not remember. I thought Nexavar was the first, but it wasn't. Then he answered the question himself, and he also told me like this is completely a factual question. Even if you answer it wrong, we are not bothered about it. All we are concerned is what your thoughts are in what is the stand you take in opinion based questions. This is something which the member told himself to me. So
Okay.
I was kind of okay. Then I had the confidence. Okay, facts. I can just say if I do not know, I'll just accept it as I don't know, and I'll just move ahead. So
Mm,
this was how the entire interview went, and so many questions were related to the current affairs from medicine. So,
mm.
for example, the PMSSY scheme. He
Yes.
just told me the objective of the scheme, and then he was asking what is the name of the scheme and where is the recent aims, where is it coming up in your state, and then these issues related to IPR rights of medicine. So, I think it was the time when a notification was issued by the central government stating that doctors should not mention the name of the brand in their prescriptions.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was the questions were based
Mm,
regarding that. So
mm,
what do you think is the ethical stand behind this decision? These kind of questions were asked, and also about the corporatization of healthcare. Why do you think it is happening, and what are the steps you can do to prevent it? So these were some basic questions which were asked, and I think when it comes to personality test for medicos, it can very well be handled through our internship experience itself. There is nothing to prepare too much out of the box because it's something that we have seen in our everyday life during our internship period. Definitely 70 to 90% of the questions will be from there only. So we'll be able to handle it in a decent manner, I would say, provided if we do not get anxious. That is the only things.
yes. That's good. Because I think we can conclude this part of the discussion by saying that I think we should learn to articulate instead of learning a lot of content. Like whatever
Exactly.
how you're going to quote your personal experiences for the questions like and all. And yes, from yes PT point of view, one more important thing what we're doing with UPSC Medical is, as you are aware of it, a lot of things like the two questions PMMSY and PMJ and generic medicine part were already there in the article section of UPSC Medical. Those who are
Exactly.
serious aspirants, once in a while comment check the article section of UPSC Medico, wherein I am uploading the health related updates which are out of the syllabus again. Because some of the students will call me and say, "Sir, should I read this for medical science optional?" No, this is not for optional exam. Uh, See, if you think that medicine is only helping you for that 500 marks, you're doing a blunder. 500 plus the 275 marks of PT. Here is a live example because almost 60 to 70% of the questions are centering around the healthcare, right? And this
Exactly.
210 marks which which you scored in the PT test are definitely the life saviors for you, right? In the exam,
Exactly.
yeah. So that way you have to prepare for 700 and 75 marks instead of 500 marks only, and that remaining preparation, that healthcare related data, that's what I'm trying to convey in the last 10 minutes of discussion, that if they suddenly ask you what is the blood supply of spleen, just say that I can't recollect. Because I would like to share personal experience with you. I'm so sorry. Because
Sure, sir, sure. Please go
I
ahead.
was doing my internship. I went to a
Okay.
pediatrician. I think she's the best pediatrician in Gandhi Medical College where I studied in Hyderabad, right? Um, Surprisingly, what Madam was doing was she was looking into the book and calculating the dosages for pediatric patients. She was
Okay.
looking into the book.
Okay.
Okay. Then
Okay.
then somehow I felt bad and I asked Madam, like how is it allowed? The patient might think that we don't know anything. Okay. So we have to memorize and like PCM 500 mg, PCM 750 mg, these kind of 650 mg, these kind of things we do on a spontaneous basis for adult patients. But for pediatric patients, the dosage is very important. So then the ma'am told me, uh, I'm not here in this setup. Maybe private setup might be different. I'm in a government setup that a
Mm.
lot of kids they come in here with my ignorance. These are purely factual and memory based. If I even
Yes.
commit a single mistake of giving an excess dose, that might lead to a lot of side effects. So if it is a factual thing, just keep the list with you and give the proper dose. I think that is the best service you can do for the people. I think whenever it comes to factual things, there's no harm in keeping a slip and giving the dosages. Then I realized, okay, it's okay to be imperfect with memory, but it's not okay to be imperfect with logic.
Blunt.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because if there is a logical error, if they ask you what is the main function of spleen, then if you don't know that, then it's an issue. If the blood supply, it's okay, it's a factual thing. But what is spleen doing to you? Why there is splenomegaly and all are kind of things which you should know as a doctor. Similarly, national health programs for the last 2 years, I'm stressing a lot of things and I'm working a lot on national health programs from PSM point of view. You might have seen in the article section that you will get
Yes.
the best updated content with regards to national health programs, and this will definitely for example, Dr. Kiranmai, they asked about Lakshya program to her.
Okay.
In
Okay.
detail they asked what it is like for you it was generic medicine program which was
Exactly.
going on, and also the PMMSAY, that is establishment of the aims, I think, which was the last article which I posted in the blog
Exactly.
just
So
before the
I did.
interview. I did share about 45 to 50 articles in the interview guidance program. Those were very important. uh, this is very good learning because now I should aim for medical science plus the PT related guidance rather than only
Sure.
giving you medical science, because 210 is actually I should congratulate you multiple times for that.
Thank you so
And
much, sir.
I would be expecting a separate session for my future aspirants. Once they clear their mains, I think you should be there to guide them for the personal
Definitely,
test.
sir.
Then we'll
Anytime.
go in more detail, like what are the things to be done. Anyway, I'm collecting the static data for health related stuff.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
continue with that.
Sure,
Very
sir.
nice talking to you.
Yes.
As said, I'm always here to guide you further in whatever
Definitely.
form I can. Okay. So all the
Yes.
best and take care. Jai Hind.
Yes. And thank you so much, sir. It was really a pleasure talking to you, and your guidance has been really invaluable, I would say. Like throughout the journey, you have been helping me a lot, and you have always been addressing my queries every now and then. So that was really helpful throughout the journey.
Chalo,
So thank you so much for
yeah, that
that,
was
sir.
my
Thank
job, and all the best for the future now.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.